You're listening to Parasearch Radio, news, views and reviews from the world of the paranormal from across the UK and beyond. Find us on Facebook, Twitter and the World Wide Web. Parasearch UK Radio. Parasearch Radio, broadcasting to the UK and beyond.
The views and opinions expressed by presenters and guests are their own and do not necessarily reflect the official policy or position of Parasearch Radio or its affiliates and sponsors. Listener discretion is advised. You're listening to Kerry Greenaway and Mark Manley on the Dark Mirror Paranormal Show, only on Parasearch Radio.
Good evening and welcome to the Dark Mirror Paranormal Show. Firstly, I do apologise. It is Kerry Greenaway. My throat has gone. So you've got super husky tonight. I am joined in the studio by the amazing Kaz Rooney. Good evening, Kaz. Oh, let's unmute you. That would help, wouldn't it? Good evening, Kaz.
Good evening, Kerry.
It's going well so far. And tonight we are talking with the amazing MJ Dickson and Carl Hutchinson. And we're having a look at the Sage aftermath because there have been two amazing conventions in the last few weeks and the buzz is still going strong about these conventions. And it just feels right to have a look at Sage as well. We spoke to Ashley Nibb a week or so ago because he came along to the investigation, didn't he, guys?
Yes, he did. Hi, everyone.
He's in the chat room right now. So we want to hear all the gossip, basically, about what happened at Sage Paracon.
Well, I don't even know where to start. It was an interesting event. It was very, very busy, very action-packed. We had loads going on. It was a bit full-on. It was a bit non-stop. I don't think many of us got much sleep, to be honest.
It sounds that way to me.
That is very much true.
As I say, the buzz for this event is still going on now. And this is what 2 weeks ago now?
It is, yeah. We were really lucky. We had an amazing group of people for the convention. As you know, I call them my Sage tribe, and everyone's always welcome to join the tribe. We had a really lovely, just a good mix of people. We had about 30-something people over from America that came over for the convention. We had some people coming over from Europe. We had Liz and them from Holland. So yeah, it was a really nice mix of people, and everyone's personalities got along really well. So it was fun. It was interesting and full on.
Yeah, I'll double agree with what MJ just said. We had such an amazing group of people. The guys from America were just, I've made so many new friends from those. Obviously from an outsider's point of view and not the brains behind it being MJ as a guest. And the guys from America were absolutely brilliant. So many amazing people. And then we had obviously Elizabeth from Holland, and then we had the tribe from last year at Wroxall Abbey. And it was such a great blend of people, and everybody was there for the right reason. And I think that's the thing that I want to emphasise the most is these conventions, whether it be Sage, whether it be Paraforce, these are the things that bring everybody together.
Yeah.
They bring people who are like-minded, who have an interest in the field, have a major influence in the UK scene, and they bring them together. We bring everybody together, and we all have a great time. And I must admit, I was there as I was lucky to be a speaker last year at Sage, and I was there as a guest this year, and the buzz was amazing, and the buzz still is. The social media is just off the hook.
Photos and videos are hilarious.
It's great being as I wasn't able to attend this year, and just watching, the videos, like you say, the videos and the photos going up on social media, quite jealous really, because you look like you had an absolute ball.
Do you know, I must admit, the investigation was great. It was... Last year, I actually had to lead one of the groups, as well as try and run in between to make sure that the groups rotated. And because we broke the whole group of people down into smaller groups. I think there were about 7 or 8 people in a group. Between 7 and 9, depending on the group. And we had each of the speakers stationed in a different area of the castle. We had the groups rotating. So everyone got a chance to investigate the entire castle with each of the guest speakers. And the opportunity to investigate with the likes of John Zaffis, Brian J. Cano, Robert Murch, Jeff Belanger, and the list just goes on. It was amazing. This year I was able to... I did more of the running around between the groups, but I was able to investigate with each of the speakers a little, and it was great seeing them work and learning from them. But we also had another friend of mine that came over from America for the convention, Susan. She led the EVP group down in the dungeon, and some of the Class A EVPs that came up from that session, or those sessions throughout the night, were literally mind-blowing. We had one that was a Class A EVP when we were speaking to a particular spirit of a gentleman down in the dungeon, and it was just a group of ladies down there at this point, just females, and this deep male voice, Class A EVP, just says, "suffer." But it was so clear, it literally sent chills down our spines. And we had some really interesting things that happened on the investigation. To one of the things, we actually had the security come out. It was interesting, and I thought of a very good idea, a spur of the moment thing. But one of the security guys came out because the alarms got tripped, and this alarm just sounded through the entire castle, and we couldn't figure out why. So they went back and they checked which motion sensor it was, and apparently it was an area that was blocked off to us. We weren't even allowed in that area, and one of the doors had opened, and it tripped the motion sensor. So they went out to tell us, "Look, you guys aren't allowed in that area," and we were like, "We're nowhere near it." So he came out, he went and checked everything, and he came out and he was visibly shaken. And so he stood outside the castle having a cigarette, and I was standing chatting to him, and I thought, do you know what? This guy's the perfect trigger object. So I dragged him down to the dungeon to do an EVP session.
Oh, that's so cool.
And it was really funny because the moment we got down in the dungeon, there was a group already busy with the EVP session down there. And I dragged the poor security guard down there, and I was like, okay, you're going to ask questions. And he was like, what do I ask? So I said to him, well, they know you here. You work here. You work the night shift all the time. You've worked here for years.
Yeah.
So ask them if they know you. So he was like, oh, okay. Do you know who I am? Crystal clear, Class A response, yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
And he just literally went cold. You could actually just see him freeze in his spot. And then he got into it. He was like, wow, this is really exciting. So he was down there with us for a few minutes doing EVP, and he was such a great trigger. So it just goes to show that, if you're working in a place that's haunted, that they do know you. But we had loads of interesting things happen on the investigation. My highlights has got to be doing the witchboard sessions in the Kenilworth bedroom where Aleister Crowley used to hold seances with Robert Murch, who is the world's leading witchboard specialist.
Yeah.
And that was really interesting, you know, seeing the different responses that we got and different experiments that we tried. But, yeah.
I'm trying to pin him down for an interview.
Oh, he is a very, very busy man.
I know.
I believe he is currently running a Ouija board experiment in the Satanic Temple in Salem, Massachusetts this weekend.
Wow.
And I think the event is called something like From Planchette to Baphomet or something.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah,
and, that's it, Andrew.
So I was able to catch up with him briefly yesterday, but I will see if I can drop him a message and let him know that you're trying to track him down.
Oh, thank you. That would be awesome. That really would be awesome. Because I know he's incredibly busy, but it is somebody I really, really want to speak to. Is he coming back next year?
I'm not revealing anything just yet.
I thought I might catch you out on that one.
As I say, he is an extremely busy person, and he does have several projects on the go at any given time. But Robert Murch is quite possibly one of the loveliest people you will ever have the pleasure of meeting or speaking to. He is just the most down-to-earth, wonderful person. And I can have to say that about all of our speakers that we had.
Yeah, and I second that.
You know, it's funny. I have a strange relationship with John Zappis. He's
the man, the legend, the godfather of the paranormal.
Yeah. He literally is. John is. He comes across as so serious on TV, and and he has such a wealth of knowledge. I mean, 4 decades of investigating the paranormal. He's literally a walking paranormal encyclopedia. It's like anything you want to know, he's your go-to person. But everyone always thinks that he is so intimidating and so serious. But when you actually meet him, he is so lovely and so funny. He's constantly cracking jokes, and he instantly makes you feel like your family. So it's funny because I always tease him because he looks quite similar to my father. And my dad was also Greek, and his name was also John. So, yeah, we always have a good bit of banter about that.
Did he try to steal anything from Warwick?
You know, I actually have a deck of Aleister Crowley tarot cards in my house. And they were given to me just over a year ago as a gift. However, they did come with their attachment. So that was fun. Yeah. Here's some extremely haunted tarot cards for you as a gift. By the way, don't mind the shadow figure that's going to walk around your house, or the footsteps, or the bruises you'll wake up with.
If anyone can deal with that, then I would reckon John Zappis is the man.
Well, I've got them in my house, and they are actually saged and salted and bound. They're in a little case, so you can't really touch them or anything. They are actually quite bad. And so I was speaking to John about this, and he actually knows the person who gave me the deck of cards as a present. And he was so angry. He actually told the guy off quite badly. And then I said to him, because he actually came over to my place for a quick cup of coffee. And I said to him, like, if I need to check your pockets when you leave. If the cards go missing, I know why. But no, I've still got them. They're still here.
So he wasn't tempted to say something Warwick was particularly haunted that he needed to take into his collection.
No, not that I know of.
I think one of my most amazing experiences for the whole weekend with reference to John was I spent a little bit of time with him on getting him to and from the castle. We had a golf buggy to get us up from the Knights Village to to the castle, and we were just chatting away, and I'm just sat there going, I'm sat next to John Zaffis. It's like, oh my word, and it's just like that. And he just put his arm around me and went, "You're funny," and I went, "Oh, thank you." And I was like, I didn't know what to say. He just kept his arm around my shoulder, and then
He is so lovely.
It was just like, okay, I'm not being hugged by Mr. John Zaffis, and it's just like, oh my God. And people that know me out there, I'm not the most tactile of persons. People think I'm a grumpy so and so, but I'm not really. I just have a face that just portrays it. But we were having a conversation, and on this little buggy, there's this little guy driving us up to the castle, and he was saying, "Oh, this is amazing! Yeah, first time he's been back in the UK after 30 years." And this was one of the castles he's always wanted. And we were talking about, I don't know where everybody that's listening remembers it, but recently on BBC, I think one of the terrestrial channels, there was a program about Balmoral. And he was talking about it. We were both talking about it. And as we got dropped off and we walked into the castle, and we walked into the courtyard, he went, hang on a second, and he just stopped. And I was like, stood there, and I'm like, okay. And he just went, this is what I've missed. And then we carried on walking, and every single speaker that MJ at the weekend were just absolutely top notch. From obviously John, he was an absolute amazing guy, and so interesting to listen to, and so amazing. And every single speaker, everybody just absolutely loved.
So which was your favourite? I know it's hard. I know this is hard to pin down.
Oh,
who's that question to?
Either of you, both of you.
Okay, so I really love all the speakers because they're all friends of mine.
Yeah.
I don't have a favourite. Wow, you're gonna get me in trouble. I think it was awesome having John over, being the first time that he'd been back here in over 30 years. And, at one point over the weekend, he came and gave me a hug, and he went, I don't know why it took me so long for you to convince me to come back over here. And that was a really special thing for me, because I was persistent, man. I actually met him. I flew over to a convention in Salem in March, and I had the pleasure of meeting John at the convention face to face there. And over the weekend, we had a really good chat, and I said to him, do you know what? I'm putting you on a plane, and you're coming to the UK. And he went, I don't fly. And I went, I don't care. You're going to have to deal with it.
Mr. T style, putting him out at the airport, smuggling him on a plane.
But, so it was really, really special for me to have John over here. And to have Brian over again. And we did the D-Day tour with Brian in March, and that was an absolute hoot of a time. We had an absolute blast. But Brian is a very, very close friend of mine, and somebody that I care about really dearly. We've formed a great friendship over the years. So just having him over again and catching up, and that was really fun. And but I don't know, I couldn't choose a favorite. Gosh, Russell Edwards doing his whole Jack the Ripper story, his facts and the crime scene photos and everything that he has is just mind blowing. If you have any doubt about who Jack the Ripper actually was, by the time you see Russell's talk, you're like, yep, that's him. That's who Jack the Ripper is. It's so convincing, and he has got such great evidence. So, I don't know, David Parry was really interesting. Gosh, Nikki Folsom, hearing all about her book and all of her experiences, that was really very interesting. I actually want to go and investigate the Harlequin Theatre with her. But yeah, I can't choose a favorite. I'm sorry.
Okay, Carl.
I wouldn't be able to.
Oh, okay. Me personally, I'll just reiterate what MJ just said. Obviously, John, amazing.
Oh, the diplomacy in the house.
No. I will have a favourite, and I think MJ will know who my favourite will be when I say it. But John, amazing. Nikki, unbelievable. Claire Hinks.
Oh gosh, yeah, Claire blew
this was
people
her
away.
first time doing anything like this, and she was amazing. You've got Greg Lawson, a police officer from Texas, who's bringing his police officer mentality to the paranormal. You've got Robert, the Ouija board expert, are great. All the guests amazing, but I got a soft spot.
Let me guess.
I just love Jeff Belanger. Jeff Belanger. We obviously went last year. I was obviously speaking, and I was sort of Jeff's gopher last year, and it sort of carried on this year into a point. But I've because of last year, I was obviously speaking, and I didn't get to see everybody last year. I made a point of this year making sure I went to. I think I only missed one talk, and that was Claire's, and I'm gutted I missed it. But I went and saw every single talk. But the one talk which stunned me for words, because I've never seen a whole room of people, and there were so many people in the room, and I've never experienced that before. But Jeff was talking about things going on. He was talking about the Salem witch trials. He was also sort of bringing it in with the Hampshire witch trials, which is not so famous, and it's sort of been hidden in history and everything like that. And then he sort of ended it, and everybody thought, it's Jeff, he's a funny guy and he was an amazing guy. But he ended it with such a poignant 5 minutes, and I've never seen a whole lecture room crying before, because he ended it with such
there was not
poignant...
a dry eye in the house.
Oh, yeah, such a poignant moment. And
for the listeners out there, and for you guys that don't know what we're talking about, Jeff lost a family member to cancer. And I don't know if any of you have seen on his social media that he went to go and climb Kilimanjaro, which is an amazing feat in itself. Mm-hmm. But he raised so much money for the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society. And, you know, it's a cause that's obviously very dear to my heart as well. Mm-hmm. You know, I lost my 12-year-old nephew to lymphoma last year, as well as going through chemo myself and all of that. So it was very emotional. Yeah, let's put it that way. But it literally not a dry eye in the house.
It sounds it. It very much sounds it from what you're saying. So out of all the speakers, I'd say you had some amazing speakers there. Which did you learn the most from?
Ooh. I got to think about this, because I've had many conversations with the speakers over the years. I'm going to say, personally, something I found really, really interesting, and it's purely because I've not really looked into it as much as I would like to, is more on the Ouija board side with Robert Murch. I think it was really fascinating. You do learn a lot, and I have to also say thank you to Robert for my birthday present. I'm now the proud owner. It's not funny, Carl.
It is.
Don't make me laugh, you'll make me cough.
Proud owner of a bright baby pink Ouija board that comes in a handy case. And it also has 72 questions on cards, which only girls would like to know. And on the box, it says 8 years and above. So I looked at him and I went, 8 and above to summon a demon, but 21 to drink in the States. This is fantastic.
And I must admit, I read all 72 of them, all 72 of the questions.
Yeah.
And had a lovely pink, girly carry case.
Yep.
Quite
Brilliant.
amazing.
We actually used.
Which we actually used, but we'll come on to that.
But, across the board, the speakers, I've heard them do their lectures before, and they're never the same. So every time I hear them, I learn something new.
For me personally, every single speaker was just amazing. Every single speaker opened my eyes to a lot of it, whether it was David Parry talking about various different things to do with your mindset, to Robert Murch talking about the history of Ouija board. But one of the talks which I was enthralled with, it has to be Greg Lawson's, because Greg comes from a law enforcement background.
Mm-hmm.
He's been a detective in Texas for over, is MJ over 30 years, is it?
They're about, yeah.
Yeah, thereabouts. And what he's done, obviously he was interested in UFOs, and he's done he's written a lot of books, and he's done a lot of these things. And he came and spoke last year at Sage, and he was talking about Roswell, he was talking about aliens, he was talking about zombies and everything like that. But since he came over, he wrote a book which was called The Paranormal Detective.
Oh, detecting the pattern.
It did, yeah, sorry. Hang on, I've got it in front of me, but he basically has taken a step back from the usual way of looking at the paranormal, and he's basically come in from a law enforcement background where he basically looks at the paranormal and he breaks it down into, for instance, say he was investigating a case, so he's looking at the witnesses, he's looking at the type of witnesses, he's looking at the locations. He looks at everything in a completely different light to everybody else that I've ever spoken to about in the paranormal field in all the time I've been doing it. And his talk was, in my eyes, apart from everybody, like I said, everybody was great, but he basically made me think a lot more than everybody else made me think. So Greg Lawson was, in my eyes, was the one that opened my eyes, thinking, right, so if somebody describes a paranormal activity or they've witnessed something, he then looks at it and says, right, what type of witness are they? What type of location is it? What type of this, that, and the other? Do you treat them this way? Do you treat them that way? So he's basically breaking it down. And say it was a murder case. So he's looking at it from a law enforcement point of view, and the tricks of the trade that he's learnt over 30 odd years in the law enforcement, and he's brought that into the paranormal. And I think that's great.
Yeah, I suggest to anyone listening, go out and get yourself a copy of the book, because it is a real eye-opener. There's such little things. And, it's funny because I've said this to so many people. It doesn't matter whether you have 6 months of experience investigating the paranormal or 60 years. Because at the end of the day, each person has a different perspective. Each person looks at things a completely different way. So, I've done a public event where I've had someone who's never been on an investigation before. And they've said to me, well, why do you do this way? And I'm like, actually, you got a good point. I was having a chat to, who was I talking to? Oh, somebody in Salem at the convention there. Dave Giuliano. And Dave has been investigating and he actually did the lecture with John Zaffis at Salem Con. And Dave and I were sitting outside having a chat. And he asked me, what do you usually lecture about? So I said to him, I usually cover the beginners, Paranormal 101. Let's start right from the beginning when it comes to investigating. And he was like, oh, what sort of stuff? Because I do one of those talks too. And I said to him, things like when it comes to EVPs. So when you settle down to do an EVP session, what I like to do is I like to get everybody that's in the room to say their name out loud in their normal talking voice as well as whisper it, because your voice sounds so different as a whisper on a recording. So that way, when you're doing EVP, because no matter how experienced you are, at some point in the evening, somebody is going to whisper.
Yeah.
And, no one's perfect. You do have those moments. But now you have something that you can kind of compare that whisper, that tone, that everything to the person's voice where they've said their name out loud and then in a whisper. So you kind of have something to reference back the whole time if you think it's possibly one of the people in the room whispering. And he was like, oh my gosh, why have we never thought of this? That's brilliant. Because now you do have something to compare.
Yeah.
And so it is just different ways of looking at things. But I definitely recommend that you get a copy of Greg Lawson's new book. It is brilliant. You will learn a lot. And like Carl says, it's just a totally different way of looking at it from the law enforcement perspective. It's great.
Well, I want to hear a little bit more about this pink Ouija, because I've heard a little story about this pink Ouija.
Oh, good Lord.
Well, I think the pink Ouija story has to probably end the show with, because that was sort of really, at that particular moment, is probably the end of the sort of official Sage Paracon moment, really, because we've just spoken about the talks, but then we've got the party, we've then got the rest of the weekend that we obviously we need to discuss as well.
Oh, okay then. So
I
let's
don't even
talk
want to
parties.
talk about the party.
I want the gossip of this affair.
Well,
you had a supernatural
right.
theme, didn't you?
So, yeah, it was supernatural. Obviously, anyone that knows me knows that I am one of the biggest Supernatural fans. And I had the opportunity to meet some of the cast and crew and at a convention a few years ago. And I don't know, I've always loved the show. So I thought, to tie in with the whole theme, we got the 1967 Chevrolet Impala Baby, who was at the convention for photos, and we had actual shotguns and handguns and all sorts, like real weapons, obviously firing pins and things removed, all safe. But for the props, for the photos and things. And so we decided to do a supernatural kind of cosplay. Or if you didn't know the show, you could dress up as anything supernatural. So it kind of kept the theme open. We also had all the classic rock music playing at the party that usually plays in the show. I dressed up as Dean Winchester.
I dressed up as Bobby
Singer,
which people that know me will be gobsmacked that I actually dressed up, because I don't do fancy dress, but
you did it
I
so
dressed
well.
up, and I brought my own gun.
Ooh.
Yeah. And we had,
Sorry, my mind immediately went rude on that point.
Yeah.
There we go. With a husky
Wow.
voice, I can imagine.
But we had, Ian Barrow and them from Residential Haunting down in Hastings. They came up to the convention to support us. And Ian dressed up as Aleister Crowley from the Supernatural TV show. And he made such a good Crowley as well. There were so many good outfits. I mean, myself and Brian J. Cano dressed up as the Winchester brothers. So it was Sam and Dean Winchester with our matching tattoos. And I don't think I've ever had to put stubble on my face, like makeup. And the only thing that I had, because I was in such a hurry, because we were trying to get the car on the castle grounds for the photos, so I just grabbed whatever dark eyeshadow I had in my handbag and had this makeshift beard. But unfortunately, in some of the photos, it just looks like I have a really dirty face.
Well, I was quite similar, because I was getting ready in the Knights Village, getting ready for the party, and I'm like, well, I'm quite gingery, blondie kind of, I've got a goatee. And somebody went, well, he has a full beard. And I'm like, well, I haven't got a full beard. And so I was sharing a cabin with a couple of amazing people, Claire and Sam. And so I was rummaging through their makeup bags, and I destroyed their makeup bags to give me a brown beard. I literally had
It
their...
looked really good, though. It was worth it.
Yeah.
It looked great.
It is. I had their highlight. I'm not. Don't put makeup on very often. But this brush that has thing that's supposed to highlight your eyelashes.
Yeah.
Yeah. What you girls know what I'm talking about. But
Yeah.
I'm pasting it on my goatee. So I'm.
Oh, wow.
And then I'm basically trying to draw the line of the beard in. And at one stage, I think it was Sam said, "Well, you're a bit lopsided." So I've then got tissue paper wet that I'm lining up my beard, and it was just incredible. I'm like, I don't do fancy dress, and I will openly admit
it looked great. But you know what? One of my favorite outfits of the entire evening, and a very big shout out goes to Kerry Hall in the States, because she didn't have a supernatural outfit, but she came dressed as a beer bottle.
Yeah,
with
amazing.
a sign saying "I'm with Dean," which was absolutely just one of my favorite outfits of the entire weekend. It was so brilliant. But we had some great photos done. We had, and a very big shout out and a thank you goes to Simon Coates Photography. Simon came in, set up a full green screen studio to do all of the more serious kind of photos with the speakers. So everyone, and they were printed straight away. So people could have their photos taken. It was printed. It was autographed by the speakers. You know, we had all the photos done with the Impala. So we had, I think one of my highlights of the weekend was myself and Brian J. Cano acting out a little skit from Supernatural as the Winchester brothers buy the car.
I'll tell you what. I'll tell you what, Kerry. It was like watching two kids. I'll tell you what. From an outsider's point of view, watching MJ, Brian, and a couple of others literally fawn over this car. It's an amazing car. I leant on the car and I got told off for leaning on the car.
By me. Don't get
by
fingerprints
MJ. Don't lean on the car. So I had to smudge off my handprints. But watching MJ and Brian act out
a scene from Supernatural.
Their supernatural fantasies around this car was probably one of the most amazing moments I've ever witnessed. And it just made the whole thing, because
and the fact that it was so
buzz about
as
it,
well.
MJ, wasn't it? There was so much buzz about it.
Yeah, it was great. But I think one of the funniest, what made that such a funny moment was the fact that neither of us had discussed doing anything like that. You know, it was kind of spur of the moment. We were walking up to the car. We grabbed some of the guns and things out of the trunk of the car or boot to pose for the photos. And Brian turned around and he started saying lines from Supernatural, and I just kind of fell in with it. And we did have a good giggle. It was quite amusing for everyone that was trying to get their photos taken too.
Yeah. I think MJ probably had the most photo ops with that car ever.
Oh yeah.
Now, in the chat room, Claire Hinks is in the chat room. So good evening, Claire.
Hi, Claire.
She's saying, ask you about the karaoke, because apparently you're awesome, MJ.
Oh, no.
Can I take this one?
Yeah, go for it.
I obviously know MJ very, very well. And as of last year, anybody that was there last year knows how well MJ sings. And MJ did a song on the karaoke, and MJ basically for the whole weekend and probably up the time after the convention, which I spent with her, she'd been suffering from the most horrible cold. Mm-hmm. But give her a microphone, give her a song to sing, and she absolutely, I'm gonna be slightly risque with it, she absolutely bloody kills it. Because it's amazing.
I can feel myself going so red right now. Thank you.
No, you do, MJ. You do. And
you know what? I'm not going to deny it. I absolutely love singing. I love it. It's always been a passion of mine. Do you know, this will shock you, Carl. So I had, yeah, right. I had John and Jeff over at my house having a cup of coffee before we went over to the castle. And bless them, they had no sleep. They just got off the plane. We straight from the airport to our house. And so Jeff walks into my living room, and I have 6 guitars. One of the guitars is sitting next to the sofa, and he just walks up to it and opens up the case, grabs the guitar, and I'm like, oh God, here we go, and starts jamming so well, like ridiculously well. And
what does that guy not do well?
I know.
It's really cringe-worthy.
Great sense of humor, paranormal.
Yeah,
just, you know,
it makes you sick. Sick.
I'm gonna give you a moment for your man crush.
Oh, I have a big man crush over Jeff.
But it was great because Jeff was the first person to kick off karaoke, and he was great. I remember standing back looking, because I was at the bar trying to get a beer, and he started the karaoke, and I kind of looked across the room and went, wow, that's really impressive. But the highlight of the party has got to be John Zaffis and Zaffis singing Who You Gonna Call? Ghostbusters.
John Zaffis.
And replacing the Ghostbusters with John Zaffis. So you had the whole crowd and the party, everyone was on the dance floor, everyone was joining in. All the speakers were on the dance floor getting involved. John Zaffis was giving his little boogie on the dance floor too. It was great. Probably the most distracting thing about trying to sing karaoke is having John Zaffis dancing next to you.
Or behind you, as you didn't realise he was
behind me. But having the entire convention all on the dance floor, packed dance floor, all singing Who You Gonna Call? John Zaffis was just priceless.
And there's a quite a few clips that are floating around social media.
Oh yeah, I'm actually going to upload all the videos and all the photos onto our Facebook page within the next few days. I needed some time to decompress. Obviously, I still had guests over for another week after the convention, and then trying to get over my cold and everything. So today was the first day that I actually had a little bit of a breather. But yeah, all those photos and all those little video clips, I believe there are videos of all of us doing karaoke, actually. There's Barbara, who did some fantastic songs. Vicky, Barbara
serenading Greg was amazing.
That was something else.
Mm-hmm. And Vicky doing her song, and everybody was like, because the funniest thing about Vicky, who's a very good friend of mine and obviously MJ's as well, she turned up at the Supernatural VIP party, and nobody recognised her.
No one recognised. She dressed up as a character called Meg, and looked identical to the character. Yeah. And not only that, it was like a completely different person.
Yeah,
she walked up to me and started talking to me, and it literally took me a few seconds to realise who it was.
Well,
I was like, oh wow.
It's amazing what a costume does to rock out your alter ego, isn't it?
The thing was, I was walking back from the Knight's Village to my cabin to get ready for the night, because I was late getting back to the Knight's Village. So I'm walking along the lovely decking, walking through the lovely log cabin, the beautiful setting outside the river, and all of a sudden this brunette with a leather jacket, and I was like, and she said, "Oh, hello, Carl." I'm thinking, "Oh, bum, who are you?" Because have I forgotten who you were? And then it was Vicky, and I was like, Jesus wept. And then we made it up to our castle, and it was quite funny to watch people having that second look, like, that's Vicky. It was just like everybody that saw her, and the pictures are on social media, and MJ will post on the Sage Paracon website. It was great, and Vicky did
Sorry to interrupt. I was just, while this is on my mind, one of the things that I think it wasn't supposed to add to the party as much as it did. It was just sort of a little thoughtful gift from myself and my husband to each attendee. We made these little bottles of shots, and they were called the Sagest, and they were sort of like a orange.
No, they were blue.
No, they were orange flavored, but they were like a citrusy orange flavor shot.
Really?
Yeah.
The ones I drank were blue and tasted like mouthwash.
Okay, Carl, here's the question. Did you drink ones from Duncan or from me?
Duncan.
Mm-mm.
That had drink the Kool-Aid.
Yes, you drank the Kool-Aid.
Oh, no wonder. That would explain it.
You drank the Kool-Aid. We had, these little shots that we made, these little glass bottles with the little corks and things. They were called the Sagest. It was sort of a citrusy shot. They were strong as all hell. They could probably put hair on your chest. And they were bright blue with sort of a pearlesque glitter in them. So it kind of looked like a witch's potion. But we handed them out to everybody just as sort of a little welcome drink and a thank you. And, there were quite a few of those shots, and it showed. Everybody was on the dance floor. Everybody got involved with karaoke. It was a pretty wild party.
Yeah, party was brilliant. And there was so many amazing moments from it. And I'm now slightly worried what I was drinking out of those little bottles that Duncan was having.
Those were just slightly stronger, that's all.
Yeah, okay. And the one of those, talking about those little blue bottles, one of our guests, Desiree from Florida, she had one, and her husband was staying over for like a couple of weeks, 9 days after the convention, and they had their clothes dry cleaned at a hotel.
I remember
MJ. Yeah, and they had their clothes dry cleaned, and I was sat in the bar of the hotel early morning. We just had breakfast. We were just sitting there, and they were just talking about their dry cleaning. And this one of the people that was doing the dry cleaning came up to Greg, who's Desiree's husband, and went, "Oh, by the way, we found something in your clothes when we dry cleaned." And I was like, I tried to, I'm not going to listen to this. But then all of a sudden I heard it was a little blue bottle with a cork, and I went, right, I'm going to listen to this. And basically they thought it was something illegal.
Yeah,
Greg was going, no, it's a shot that we've given at the party, and it was found in their dry cleaning. It was hilariously funny.
I thought it was something illegal. I love it.
Overall, the event was fantastic. We did have hiccups with the castle, and having said that, we have already announced our dates for next year, and we have said that we are doing it at Warwick Castle. However, you will notice that our entire website says that it is up for a bit of maintenance at the moment. We are updating everything. I do have a meeting coming up with the castle, just because there were several things that didn't go to plan on the castle side, unfortunately. I know that a lot of the staff tried their best to keep things running smoothly, and I am really thankful to those that put the hard work in, to everybody who attended, everyone that helped. It turned out to be a really good event. However, I'm not going to say we're moving it to a different venue, because I do still have to have the meeting with the castle. However, we have put everything on hold for a week or so whilst we sort everything out. So there is definitely, most certainly, a Paracon 2018, Sage Paracon 2018. It's definitely happening.
At
the moment, we're just going to make sure that we have the right venue for the next event. You know, we did send out a survey to all of the guests who attended, and the feedback has been phenomenal. You know, just the feedback alone from this year is enough for me to go, yes, let's do it again. And we just had a great time. If anything, it is just a fantastic time. And we've got such a great group of people, the Sage tribe. Everybody keeps bringing more of their friends to get involved. And, you know, we had several people come to the event this year who didn't know anyone at all. They came on their own, and they have left part of the family. And they've emailed me saying they can't believe how welcoming and how friendly and how amazing everybody was, from the speakers to the other attendees. You know, it really is like a big family.
Mm-hmm.
That's definitely the vibe
that's
you get.
my main reason. That's my main reason for doing it.
And I will just being serious for a moment, which I know it's hard to believe I do get serious now and again. But the feedback personally that I've been given, obviously I was there as a guest and everything else, supporting MJ and listening to these amazing experiences, but talking to the people and the new friends. I've made so many new friends at this one. Patricia, Dee Dee, Desiree, Greg, everybody like that, and we had such a good laugh at the convention and the week after. So many amazing moments afterwards as well until they left. But the biggest thing that I've been told is, and I'm going to say this to MJ.
Oh boy.
Yeah, just suck it up and take it. Everybody has said that you have done such an amazing job. You've put on a convention in the UK about paranormal. And John Zaffis said it as well. He was blown away by the type of questions he was asked. Normally when he goes on conventions, it's like, what's the most scariest moment? What's this? What's that? All the normal questions people think. He was being asked questions that blew his mind. And you brought those people together. You brought the whole area together. And from me, and I will guarantee people in the chat room, to Ashley, to Claire, to everybody else, I want to say personally, on air, thank you, MJ. You've done an unbelievable job. And I don't want to get you all whatever, but you know how much I...
Thanks, I'm just going to swallow that lump in my throat now.
Yeah, how much you've worked tiredly, you've worked endlessly to get this event happening. I'm so glad that you are going to carry on and keep on going into the future. And also, if anybody's out there, there's a Sage Paracon cruise, 10 days around Europe. Have a look on the website. Yes, there's a shameless plug.
My new nightmare. My new nightmare.
But personally, and we've discussed this every day, it came at the right time, blah, 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 blah. I'm not going into it, but everybody that I've spoken to, from the people that I suddenly then were meeting up in London a week later, they were blown away by what you did, bringing this community together in the way you did.
Thank you.
And you've done a great job.
I really, really appreciate that.
And I guarantee you're going to slap me next time you see me.
I am so going to slap you next time I see you. Followed by a big bear hug.
There's a couple of things. You had a couple of ladies doing some podcasting for you, didn't you?
Yes, we did. We had the ladies from Dead Creepy.
And they did an amazing job, I'm hearing.
You know what? What I love about Claire and Lindsay is that it's not always your usual questions that you get asked. They ask you things like, what did you have for tea? And it's fun and it's lighthearted, and they're both such wonderful ladies. I have asked them to cover next year's event as well. I'm really pleased that they're going to be there. One of the unfortunate hiccups that we had was there was supposed to be a separate area for Claire and Lindsay to actually record the podcasts. And unfortunately, the castle, there was a bit of a mix-up with that. So we had to kind of do it in the area where the stalls were, and so there's a bit of background noise, but I kind of think it adds to everything. They did a fantastic job. The speakers loved them. We absolutely loved having them there. We had so many different people helping us with different things, from the guys that created our shirt design and bless their little souls, took the design that I had in my head and actually put it on a T-shirt, to the guys that, the photographers, the guys with the Chevy Impala, the castle staff who did work their butts off. I mean, especially, I felt so sorry for the bar ladies at the VIP party. My goodness. I really felt, those poor girls, wow, yeah, they had a lot to deal with. But so many different people helped us behind the scenes with it. So everybody keeps thanking me for doing such an amazing job. But you know what? I wouldn't be able to do any of that without the support that I have in the paranormal field, without the support of the speakers, listening to my endless rants, my halfway nervous breakdowns when something was going, not quite to plan. So it really was a team effort, and everybody that attended, I've become such good friends with everyone, and it's so nice to still have that support. And obviously we always welcome anyone else that wants to join us. It is literally, you will feel like family.
Yep, so, totally agree.
Yeah. You don't have a choice.
You don't have a choice.
This is why the vibe I get from you guys is once you're in the family, you're always in the family.
Oh yeah.
It's a bit like the mafia, but we're a bit more flamboyant.
I can't help it.
Yeah, we're a bit more flamboyant than the mafia, but it's a bit like the mafia. Once you're in, you're in.
Quite so violent, I would think, as well.
Yeah. No. And
we're like the unicorn and rainbows mafia.
Yeah, we are indeed. Can I just do one other thing as well? Just want to do a quick shout out to a couple of people that are listening tonight. Yeah. That basically after the paranormal, we stayed on. We were staying with MJ.
Carl, you're taking over my show.
I know. I'm sorry. But
she had questions for us, and I think the poor girls asked us too.
Well, excuse me, what did you say? You wanted us to just talk.
I did. This is true.
Wait. You wanted MJ to just talk? I talked the hiney off a donkey. Like, I don't have to breathe between sentences. It's fine.
Oh, pleasure. Carry on, Carl. You carry on.
No,
I'm
not going to. No,
that was my next point.
I was just going to say that following on from the Paracon, which was the feeling, we had a number of people that that MJ was entertaining, and I was lucky enough to hang around with. Patricia, Dee Dee, Desiree, Greg, Brian, Kerry Ann, and everything like that, and we went to some amazing places which MJ put on, and I do have some videos of the Sage Paracon. It's a knockout.
Oh God!
Which I will post at some point, unless MJ beats the living what's-its out of me not to, which is amazing.
I just clocked what you recorded.
Mm-hmm. And I would just like to end my conversation. Amusing. I would just like to end my conversation, which is a helpless plug, #trunk meat.
That's what Elizabeth put in the chat room.
#trunk meat call. Wow. You definitely earned a nickname.
Well, I definitely think we need to know the background of that story.
That's a whole new show.
That's a complete hour on itself.
And I still want to hear the Ouija board story. I'm sorry, guys, you're not going anywhere until you tell me this Ouija board story.
No, okay. No, I'm gonna call you. Take it away.
Okay. As people know me recently, I've not done any investigations for quite a while, and after the Paracon, we were like hanging out a week, about 5 days after, and we were staying at this amazing hotel in Henley on Arden, the White Swan. And this has a big, strong link to MJ and Sage Paranormal. It's one of MJ's, if I can speak out of turn, and I'm sure that she'll tell me otherwise, has a lot of ties to MJ.
Mm-hmm.
A particular room
Mm-hmm.
where you were called out by name on EVP, clear as day, and you can go to Sage Paranormal, sageparanormal.co.uk and listen to this. And we were there with the guests from America, myself, Barbara, and we decided to have a little bit of an investigation in the most haunted room, Haunted 17, which I was across the 18,
Mm-hmm.
and I was across the corridor in room 17. And we basically were in there. There was myself, there was Brian, there was Kerry Ann, there was Elizabeth from Holland, Barbara, MJ, Desiree, Dee Dee, Patricia. We were all basically having a good investigation. We were asking questions. We were using some of the equipment. We were using SB7. We were using the Paranormal Park. And then we decided we'd try and use the Ouija board.
The bright pink
Ouija board.
Ouija board.
Out of the case, because I had to open it because it was right next to me. I unzipped this bright Ouija board. We laid it on the floor with the bright pink glow-in-the-dark planchette. And I was reading it, and it was saying there's 72 questions for females and reading the names. So I'm like reading some of the questions, and it was like, will I ever find a boyfriend? And does he like me? And all this sort of stuff. So we were like just having a little bit of a giggle about it and trying it. And then all of a sudden we put away the kids' questions, the girly questions, the pink Ouija board, and we started asking about the activity in the room. The board started then reacting, and it started reacting in a way that I was thinking, okay, I wish Robert Murch was here.
I think that crossed all of our minds.
Yeah, I think everybody in the room were like going, okay, it's gone from a bit of a giggle to now reacting in a way that was not worrying, because it's not worrying because we've been doing it for years, but it was slightly
unnerving.
Unnerving, yes, good word. And we carried on, and then we closed it down, and I had to sleep across the corridor, and I was told the person that was staying in there, if they screamed, and I went, you better scream loudly because I'm gonna hear my tune. But yeah, the whole story about the pink Ouija board, we did a Ouija experiment in one of the most hauntedest places, which has a tie into MJ.
It did end up being like a paranormal pajama party, though, because most of us were in our PJs at the time.
Yes.
With this bright pink Ouija board. I actually have a photo of all of us doing it. It looks hilarious. It looks like it literally looks like a bunch of schoolgirls doing it.
Yeah. Yeah.
I also heard it got smuggled up to the room in a very spectacular fashion.
Yes.
That's down to you, MJ.
No, I didn't.
Nothing to do with me.
It was Elizabeth that
it was Elizabeth.
It must have been Elizabeth. Because
the points of the box made her look like she was very top heavy, shall I say?
With pointy bits like Madonna.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
It was quite funny.
Hey, until I got to the third step before I went to my room, I wasn't going into the room with the Ouija board, and then ended up going into the room with the Ouija board. So.
That's always the way.
Our little paranormal pajama party afterwards. There.
Exactly. When NJ comes, we're having a pajama party with a Ouija board. You come in, I'm like, okay, I'm coming in.
It was that bourbon you was drinking, Carl, I'm sure.
I wasn't drinking bourbon then. I was drinking some lovely whiskey, some lovely gin and tonics. Gin party at the White Swan at Henley on Arden. They've got an amazing gin menu.
Oh, they do. Yeah, they really do. It's a great hotel.
Great hotel.
But, overall, I will say that it was a really fun weekend. It was very stressful. but I had so much support from so many wonderful people in the field. So a very big shout out again, just to say thank you to absolutely everybody who had anything to do with the event at all, whether you helped out or whether you attended. It was amazing. And I'm definitely looking forward to next year. I've got a few other tricks up my sleeve for next year. So we're going to see how we can top John Zaffis and having the Chevy Impala there. Because that was not easy to organise.
I bet it wasn't at all. Now, you have already announced one of the speakers for next year.
Yes, we do have Jane Harris, who's she's recently done a documentary called Who Put Bella in the Witch Elm, which I highly recommend. Jane runs HD Paranormal, and I definitely recommend grabbing a copy of Who Put Bella in the Witch Elm. You know, this is something that I get this little tinge of pride, which I don't know why I should, but it's not my project whatsoever. But I think I'm just so proud of her, because the documentary that she put together is not only absolutely fantastic, it is really well put together. The amount of research, the amount of work that went into it, it's a fantastic, all-round, brilliant documentary. And I couldn't wait to get my hands on a copy. So when I sat down and watched it, I was really blown away. You know, my husband and I really enjoyed it. And then I was talking to Jane, and she was like, "Oh yeah, she did all the editing, she did the directing, I was like, "What? Are you actually kidding me?" So not only is she amazing on screen, a brilliant storyteller, you know, the research that went into it, all the filming that she'd done, but she edited everything as well. Yeah. It's just to take on a project that size on your own. I mean, I do the Paracon. I know how hard it is. You know, that's 90% of the organizing I do on my own. I do obviously have people that come in and help with certain things. I don't do every single thing, but she's literally done all of it. Yeah. And it's a breath of fresh air to see somebody so passionate about all things mysterious and paranormal and supernatural. And she's a lovely, down-to-earth, really wonderful person. So I'm really looking forward to, you know, hearing a bit more from her and having her as a guest speaker. I'm really excited about that. I think she's just going to be fantastic.
Well, if you tune in on Sunday to the Spirit Dimension show at 9 p.m, you'll get to hear a little bit more from our lovely Jane Harris, because I had the pleasure of interviewing her about her documentary. And that goes out, say, 9 p.m. on Sunday evening. And she's adorable. She's an amazing lady.
She really is, isn't she?
She's fantastic.
I have a lot of time for her. She's really a lovely lady.
And I have a copy of the documentary to watch yet. I haven't had a chance to watch this yet.
Oh, but you haven't? Oh, my goodness. You need to do it.
I know. It's on my plan of action for later on tonight when I'm back snuggled on my sofa. You're gonna
need to let me know what your thoughts are on the documentary as well, because I just think from the camera work right through the editing, just everything about it, I think is absolutely brilliant. So well done, Jackie. That she really deserves a really big pat on the back and some recognition for that, because it's fantastic.
I need to just give a little shout out to Ashley Nibb for that. So thank you, Ashley. Because he brought it over for Paraforce. He brought me his copy, so thank you, Ashley.
You know, and I've heard such good feedback from all the guys who attended Paraforce as well. I've received several emails and messages saying that they had such a great time. And also, like you say, just seeing on social media. So well done to the guys from Paraforce for another great event. I've heard nothing but good feedback, so that's always awesome to hear. We do need more of these events. You know, it's a shame that people think that it is a competition. It's supposed to be about bringing a community together, and you know, both events managed to do that. So that's fantastic. That's what it's all about.
I completely agree with you. I completely agree with you on that. It's not a competition. It's about bringing the paranormal together. Now, before we disappear for the evening, I know we're running over time, guys, and I do appreciate your time. MJ, you have been nominated for the Ladies First Business Awards.
I have. Oh, I didn't know you were going to bring that up, but yeah. Let's tuck that one in there.
Yeah.
Yes.
Firstly, a massive congratulations for being nominated. You very much deserve it, because you don't just do the Paracon convention. You also run your own business, the Afterlife.
Yes, I do Afterlife Coffee. I do Death by Chocolates, which is a chocolate range. We do
Both are very good.
Yeah, they are really good, aren't they?
Mm-hmm.
I know.
Live on them.
I have to quality check everything.
Of course.
I make a product range called Witchworks, which is all herbal and it's all bath salts, bath teas, room sprays. I do specifically for paranormal investigators. I do a Sage range, which is all for cleansing your energy and getting rid of, you don't. Just making sure you haven't taken anything home with you after an investigation. So yeah, I'm nonstop. I do all of that. I've got investigations. It is a bit full on, and now I've got the cruise as well. The 10-day paranormal holiday through Europe, and that's coming up in May. So it's really busy.
Carrie, at this particular mine, you want to be playing the theme tune to Wonder Woman in the background.
I know. It's absolutely amazing what MJ does. I can't literally get my head around it. Your products are on Etsy. I've just shared the link. Your webpage I've been sharing throughout the evening. Your Facebook accounts I've been sharing throughout the evening. I personally would like to say I adore your work. Keep doing what you're doing.
Thank you so much.
Because you're doing an amazing, amazing job.
Thank you ever so much. I really appreciate that.
We're so going to meet one day, I'll tell you now.
Yes. I've got the award ceremony. It's basically I've been nominated for a new business award, and it is Sage Paranormal that has been nominated. So I think this is actually one of the first times that a paranormal team or a paranormal company has been nominated for an actual business award in the UK. I don't know if haven't heard of others. So it was quite shocking that they actually accepted me as a finalist for that as well. I had my meeting with the judges a few days ago, which was nerve-wracking and terrifying. But it's several different businesses that have been nominated in that category. And the award ceremony takes place on the 19th of October. So I'm really looking forward to it. So good luck to all the other ladies who are nominated.
And very good luck to you too, because I think you deserve it.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
I would second that as well.
Thanks.
Oh, she's gone all shy now.
I have. I'm going red now. Give my final nervous giggle.
Anyway, oh my God, Kaz, finish the show for me because I need a coughing fit.
Oh, bless.
Sorry, Kaz, I haven't brought you in all night. We've kind of taken over the show tonight.
I'm just sitting here absolutely loving listening to this. So, thank you so much, Cal and MG, for joining us tonight and for giving us such good stories and gossip.
Thank you for having us on the show.
Yeah, thank you. It's been amazing, and thank you, MJ, as well.
So with that, guys, we're going to say goodnight because Kerry isn't well.
I'm like dying slowly.
I've managed to keep my coughing in all night. It's great.
I managed right up until the last minute. You make me laugh. It just starts me off.
And I just like to say, I'm quite well.
On that note, guys, have a wonderful evening, and thank you to everybody for tuning in and listening.
Yeah, thanks, guys. And Kerry and Kaz, thank you again. And MJ, always a pleasure. And love you lots.
Pleasure, sir.
Thank you so much for joining us. It's been brilliant. Thank you for joining us in the chat room. Don't forget, Sunday 9 p.m, Jane Harris on the Spirit Dimension. And we have shows going out every night of the week. And on that note, good night, everybody.
Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Thank you for listening. Don't forget to join us for more shows throughout the week. Find us on Facebook, Twitter, and the World Wide Web to keep up to date with all the shows right here on Parasearch Radio.